Good evening.
No, it's not ready.
All right. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for our 6th Facebook Live Q&A with Summit Common Council members. This evening, Mayor Nora Radest and Council President Greg Vartan are here to receive your comments and answer your questions. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, Mayor and Council President. Before we get started with some questions from viewers, I would like to share some questions received by email through the city website and at council meetings. Sound good?
Yep.
Sounds great.
At the last council meeting, there was a lengthy discussion about the Continuum of Care program. The acronym is COC. There was a request to provide council members and the public with more information. What opportunities are you providing council members to learn more about it, and how can the public learn more about it?
Sure. Okay.
You start.
I'll start. Okay. So, first of all, hopefully everyone is hearing us well. I'm going to try to speak a little loud. So, first of all, many thanks to Amy and to David, who are here from the city communications staff with us this evening. It's 7 o'clock. It's well after their workday should be completed, so we want to thank them for being here. We're trying to move the time around for these, so we'll see how it goes. So the question about the COC is a good one. It's called a couple of different things. There's the Comprehensive Emergency Access System, or CEAS, and Continuum of Care, and they're both kind of the same thing. And so let's back up a little bit further to we know that since the pandemic started, in Summit we have experienced an increase in the number of people who are homeless, and this is concerning, and we want to do whatever we can to be helpful. So part of that is that we have been engaging in discussions since, I want to say, maybe November-ish, December-ish of last year. And what we saw over the course of the pandemic in the last several years, and especially this last year, is that incredible efforts have been made by the faith community in Summit, the nonprofit community in Summit, and a bunch of very dedicated volunteers who have given of their time and who have also given of their money to help really basically make a Herculean effort to try to help address homelessness in Summit. And so what we saw this past year, once you kind of got a group of people together that was already working on this in the community locally, and then council members got plugged in after you sort of got that going, is what we got this working group of people together, and we found that there are a number of resources out there that we didn't even know existed, and we now know that those exist. One of those resources is this Union County Continuum of Care, or CEAS. And so we had a conversation also with Mike Callahan, who's the director of the Office of Homeless Prevention in the State Department of Community Affairs. And what he explained to us is that, one, this is a group, he explained to us what it is, which is that it's a group of people, organizations, agencies, nonprofits, and some government entities throughout Union County that all are focused on the goal of ending homelessness. And what they're trying to do is get together and talk about their ongoing efforts to try to do that. And so what was suggested to us by Mike Callahan was that it would be good for the municipality to join in these conversations. And there's a few reasons why. The first reason why is it's first of all, we've been connected with a number of organizations, and we can be connected with a number of organizations that we didn't even know existed that can help actually provide services to individual people in Summit and to help our first responders connect people to resources in Summit. But what it can also do is potentially, down the line, we can potentially gain access to new funding sources to try to address homelessness. So, like, one example would be there's a nonprofit in Summit, Bridges, which deals directly with homeless people with case management, and they get people connected to services that they need and housing, right? So they're a member of this Union County COC. So it's important, I think, to talk about what it is and what we're trying to do as a part of, as with Summit being a part of it, right? So we learned that that this year, with Summit Warm Hearts and the other services that are serving homeless people in Summit, that about 65 or 66 people interacted with those services, and about 25 of those moved on from Summit, and another 5 or 6 were placed into housing. And that's incredible. And so what we were experiencing, I think, before the pandemic was somewhere between 10 and 15 homeless people, right, on an average basis in Summit. And we kind of knew who they were. And now there's obviously a bit more. So it's great that it's not at 66 where it was the highest level, but it's also definitely more people than we've had before. And so what this organization is again, this group of agencies that are trying to address this common goal. What it is not is an obligation for Summit to do anything. What will happen is when we talk about this on Tuesday and when we authorize a resolution authorizing our application, it'll allow me as a representative of Summit to go to these bi-monthly meetings. And basically, when I'm there, I'll be able to interact with these services. I'll be able to take notes. I'll be able to bring that information back to Summit. I think the absolute worst case scenario that we get out of it is that we find that it wasn't very helpful and it wasn't worth my time, right? So I think what it is this helpful, potentially helpful group. What it is not is an obligation to pay money. It's not an obligation to apply for any grants. There's no strings attached to it. There's no obligation to build any kind of housing. It's like this is not a solution to our homelessness problem. It's a step to potentially finding solutions to our homelessness problem in Summit. So I feel like I talked about that for a long time.
That's all right. I just want to add a little historical perspective. When I was first elected as mayor, we had probably 15 people that were homeless. And that year, one of the things that was done was to close the train station down for a period of time during the night. Mm-hmm. We did not have, the faith community was not as engaged as they have been. I give them great compliments and kudos for the hard work that they've done. And the city wasn't providing services. We don't have the financials. I approached the county on a couple different times and said, can you help us out here? And they said, well, there's really not anything. So we didn't proceed to go to the county. We thought, all right, let's see what we can do. And then when we had with Summit Warm Hearts started, and that was before the pandemic, because they were trying to find a way to house some of these homeless folks at night in the cold winter months. And the way we funded it was through the help of the Other Fellow First Foundation, mm-hmm. and a GoFundMe page, and residents of Summit, out of their immense generosity, putting funds into the GoFundMe. Now, anybody who's run an organization knows that if you don't have a stable source of funding, you can't plan. You don't know what next year's going to look like. And the reality is, what we don't want is to have this Band-Aid situation for warm housing at night from November to March, and then not a long-term solution to get people the care they need, the mental health care, the physical health care, and housing. So as you said, I think it's 6 people have already gotten housing, plus there are several other that are on the voucher list.
Yeah.
But we don't even know what's there. We don't have access to this stuff unless
right.
we just go to these meetings. And there's absolutely no obligation, and there's no intention of building a housing shelter on the Summit Green.
Or anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah. No, anywhere that I know of. It's never been a discussion. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we have information and the questions answered, we'll post it on the city website.
Oh, yeah. So that was also part of the question, because I launched into this whole long thing and then I forgot where you even asked me to go. So thank you for the reminder, Amy. So council members, we had the presentation from Dr. Callahan from the state at the second meeting in March. I forget the exact date. The second council meeting in March. I forget the exact date. Then shortly after that,
21st.
the 21st. Then, so you can rewatch that if you want. It was a little dense with acronyms and stuff. But then after that, the information about the CEAS and the COC was sent around to council members. So that included like the rules and procedures, which has an outline of what the organization does and the purpose and how it was created, and that was sent to council members. And then the middle of last week, we sent that around again, and then because it's been living in the safety committee, because this is a safety and health issue.
Right.
So we sent that around again in the middle of last week. And then that also included, which we got from Rich at Bridges, the minutes from the last few meetings that they had, and the agenda from the last meeting that they had. And that gave us a little bit of a glimpse into looking at the minutes, who's attending, right? Like who's attending these meetings. And it was mostly staff people, mostly from nonprofits, but you also saw housing authorities from a number of Union County towns there. You saw staff people from the municipal governments of a number of Union County towns there. There was also a representative from the Department of Veterans Affairs that was there, which is incredibly important, and that was the Federal Department of Veterans Affairs. And so that was helpful and insightful as well. I also asked council members last week to send to me the questions that they had about it so that we could get them all together in one place, and then I could ask a member of the county staff who helps to administer this group, and I could ask her to respond to us in writing with what those answers were. So we actually just got those a couple hours ago. That's going to be discussed in safety committee when it happens tomorrow, and then we'll get it out. We'll get that out. Excuse me, to the rest of the council members in our council packet, which will be sent out, and then it'll be all that information, all the background information will also be available in our public-facing council packet for this coming meeting on Tuesday. But I think for a large group of people that I've talked to in the community, whether you're more of a left-leaning type of person who thinks government can help solve all of our problems, or whether you're more of a right-leaning person who thinks we pay all this tax money out of Summit, let's try to get some of it back here to help solve problems, or whether you're more of a moderate like most of us are, I think everyone said, well, what's the harm, right? What's the harm in going and having a conversation? And I agree. I don't see a downside at all. So.
And we're not paying money.
Right.
We can always pull out.
No obligation. Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of questions have come in, and one comment. Council member Hamlet posted, FYI, I was asked at the last meeting about veterans who were homeless. Found out today there are two
Okay.
homeless vets. All right, and this is from Jesse.
Jesse.
Per the BSW roadmap, town council published, a new proposal was to be presented in a town hall setting in March with refinement and public input in April. Are those still targets? If not, what is the updated timing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll take that one because this was kind of my very aspirational, hopeful timeline for a resolution to Broad Street West. And so my three big caveats, I think, when I was introducing that was one, it's all dependent upon the city and the developer continuing to agree that there's a potential partnership here, or that there's a deal to be had here. The second one, I think, was that the timing is really very much a goal, and it is definitely not set in stone. And so the answer is what we outlined for them to do, for the developers to do, was go and come back to us with a proposal that meets, that is compliant with the redevelopment plan, and therefore the master plan, and has clear and transparent financials, and places an emphasis on affordable housing and on-site parking. And so what has happened is, excuse me, they came back with a sort of initial proposal, and we brought together the Broad Street West Advisory Committee, which is group of financial professionals in the community that we pulled together. They reviewed, and everybody seemed to agree that offer needed to be adjusted. That it was,
and not just the advisory committee, but also our staff.
Right, our staff and council, who was also updated on that sort of initial proposal. And what has happened since then is they've gone sort of back again to come up with a sort of updated proposal. And I think where we are with that is we're expecting that our financial professional, our city's financial advisor, will work through that a little bit. Then we'll get council updated. We will pull back together the financial advisory group of people. Then we'll know if we have baseline financial viability. I think we're looking at probably within the next couple weeks, we'll know yes or no, this is going to work or not with these developers. And I think, ideally, I would have loved to have April be, we've got plans, we've got drawings, here they are, we've got a great deal, and I would love to do that. But we're just not there yet, and we don't want to rush it. We have to make sure that we're gonna do it right for the community. Yeah. So. And
as soon as we have timing information.
We'll update that. Again, it was a really aspirational and hopeful, but it was also, that was the big caveat that it never goes. The timeline is never the timeline that you think it's going to be.
Okay, here's a question from Rachel.
Okay.
Council President Greg Vartan, can you let us know why you haven't shared the DOT approval authorizing Maple Street as a pedestrian mall in 2022? Thanks.
Sure. Okay. So, the DOT approval, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not sure how we can necessarily share it because I don't know that it's necessarily in writing. Right. And so we'll back up again a little bit further to the beginning of the pandemic when the council and the mayor were looking at an incredibly dire situation where we were not sure that downtown businesses were going to survive, and it was very scary all around. So 2020 and 2021, part of the dozens of actions that we took in order to keep downtown businesses alive was to close down Maple Street to vehicular traffic for the warm months so that there could be outdoor dining and access to other businesses. And, what we heard was largely overwhelmingly very positive about that.
And one of the reasons why we wanted to do that was not just for the viability of the businesses, but there were a lot of residents who were not wanting to go into buildings.
Yeah,
they didn't want to go into restaurants.
Yeah.
And I was down at a meeting at this community center last week with about 2 weeks ago, with about 30 seniors. They love being able to eat outside. They're the most at risk. They're the most, and so they wanted to eat outside. And let's also keep in mind that DOT was pretty much shut down at the beginning of the pandemic.
Sure.
By the time we were coming back together, they were getting sort of more staffed up in 2022.
Sure.
There weren't a lot. They were behind. They were totally behind the eight ball.
Sure.
And they had conversations with Aaron, and that's when they advised him just go this route.
Yeah. So when we were looking at 2022, right, there wasn't government restriction on the businesses, but there was a rise in cases.
Yep.
We were thinking, certainly hearing from the community that the vast majority of folks that we heard from were in favor of, again, a seasonal closure for warmer months. And so, it's not the mayor, it's not the council that's in contact with DOT, right? It's our city engineer. And so in consultation with DOT, the city engineer made a recommendation to council that we pass an ordinance in order, and so what that ordinance did, passed unanimously, was allowed for vehicular traffic, allowed for Maple Street to be closed to vehicular traffic. It was a temporary basis, right, for those warmer months.
Yes.
And then it sunsetted, right? It sunsetted in November. It expired, and now it's over. And so now we're here again in 2023, and momentarily, road work is about to start in the downtown, literally in the downtown. PSE&G is going to be ripping up the streets and replacing the gas mains. And so this year, it's very sorry to say, it's going to be very disruptive to the downtown, and we're not going to be able to do any kind of seasonal closure of any street. I mean, that's where we are now.
Start over again next year.
Yeah, I mean, we have to see.
We'll have to see.
Yeah,
Who knows?
right.
I mean, it's a topic that needs to be thoroughly vetted and discussed.
Yeah.
And if we did do it in the future, it would be a more formal process.
Yeah, and that's so one of the things that we talked about at the council meeting last week was that this is going to start again in the Capital Projects and Community Services Committee, and we're gonna determine from there, what do we need, what going forward, what do we want to do here, and what do we need. Yeah.
I don't think you can underestimate the amount of pressure and decision making that had to be done by city staff and elected officials 2020, 2021, and frankly into 2022. We need another couple of hours for me to go through the list of all the things that we had to do and decisions, and no one expected this. No one knew. We've never dealt with this before. So I would ask for a little bit of understanding.
Okay. All right. So this is from Eric.
Eric.
Okay. What is the significance of the COC resolution vote at the April 18th council meeting? What is the urgency of the vote?
Sure. So this, in order to become a member,
meet 6 times a year,
right? Well, yeah. So in order to become a member of the COC, all that's required of an organization or a city is a single page form. You put the name of the person that's going to be going to the meetings. You put the name of the person that's going to be going in place of the person that can't, if they can't make it, and that's essentially it. So we, I would have loved to just fill it out and submit it and start going, right? That because I think we've been talking about this for months. And every time we talk about it in a meeting of our working group of people, and when we talk about it with people that are addressing homelessness or trying to address homelessness in our community, they clap and cheer and say, yes, when will you join the COC, right? And so for me, it's like I would have loved to just submit it and start going. But I thought, well, I'm the council president, right? And I think it's our responsibility to at least talk about it for a minute, in the public sphere, and so or an hour or a little longer, and so it was actually my decision to do it in the form of a resolution because that could allow for the community and for the council to have some information to be able to read all the same information and to be able to discuss it. And so for me, I think the significance of it being at the next meeting is that first of all, we've known about this for a while and we want to at least get started. And secondly, there is a meeting in May that I would really very much like to attend. And so I think that's I hope that answers the question.
Okay, and you've almost answered this second question from Eric.
Sure.
Are all members of council and or residents permitted to attend the county meetings?
I would have to ask about that.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, 'cause we have to send a delegated representative.
Right.
This is not an open public meeting. I would imagine the minutes are available by Oprah.
Yeah.
But
I think the minutes are available even not.
Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, so I think what we're going to do is include a couple of sets of minutes from the last couple meetings in our agenda packet, and they're it's clear from reading those minutes. To me, it's a process that they go through where basically they describe the ongoing work of the different agencies and updates on programs, and it seems like it might be helpful. I don't know though. I don't know. We have to go. We have to go and find out. Yeah.
And if we find that it's not useful or productive, or it has a hint of obligation, we back away.
Yeah, and we'll
It's
just
that simple.
yeah.
Okay, one more question from Eric.
Sure.
Third question.
Sure.
Why has it already been determined that council member Vartan is attending on behalf of council?
So
Because he's the council president.
well, yeah. So what I do at the beginning. So I asked for support of my colleagues to become council president, and then it's my responsibility to assign liaisons. I assign committee assignments, and so because this is a brand new thing that we're doing, and because every council member has 2 council committees that they're assigned to, and then between 4 and 7 additional groups in town to which
Right,
you
like
are a
Summit Public
liaison.
Art,
Right, Summit Public Art,
zoning.
the free markets meeting right now.
Right.
Their council representative is probably there. There's a ton of these things, and so the for me, I did not want to assign a staff member.
No.
I didn't think that was fair because we have we already assigned a ton of responsibilities to our staff members, and I didn't want to assign another council member because it didn't seem fair to me. Because we already ask so much of council members and so many meetings and so many nights away from their families that I just thought, this is important, and I want to be the one to go and attend.
Right,
and do
let's
this.
keep in also just for perspective for some folks who may not have been following council for the last 30 years plus, this is how it's always been. Council president appoints liaisons and committee members.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
For decades.
All right, so this is from Joanne.
Hi.
Who says, just a comment, I think you both are doing a wonderful job and Summit is lucky to have you.
Oh, thank you, Joanne.
Thank you, Joanne. You made my day.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
and now I have a question from Kevin. 2022 was not 2020 or 2021. The city needed a formal DOT approval. Did the city of Summit get approval from the NJ Department of Transportation to allow the closure of Maple Street in 2022? You have explicitly said the DOT did approve the closure. There doesn't appear to have been an application for permit. Therefore, it seems the closure was not legal. So I think you may have answered this already, but do you want to quick go over?
Not really. I mean, so I think so again, I think the ordinance that was unanimously passed in 2022 was a temporary measure to allow us to close Maple Street to vehicular traffic for the warm months. It sunsetted at the end of November or at the beginning of November, and it expired.
It was November 1st.
So we, if anything was asked of us from DOT, we provided it. We've complied with anything that DOT required of us. But council members and the mayor are not the ones in touch.
No, but Aaron spoke
it's
to
our
them,
city staff. Yeah,
and he told them what we were doing.
Yeah.
And
Aaron's
they-
our city engineer for
Right,
those.
Aaron Schrager,
Yeah.
and he told them what we were doing, and they said, this is what you want to do, we suggest you go down this route with the pedestrian mall. Other towns in New Jersey, I believe, had done the same thing, and they knew exactly
Sure.
what we were doing, and if they had any problem with it throughout the summer, we would have heard from them. But
Sure.
we're on, and it's done, it's over. So
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Time flies when you're
All
having
right.
fun.
Yeah.
All right. I was going to ask you about the meeting that the Memorial Field neighbors are having with Grace
Okay.
on Friday. You want to share some
Sure.
information about that?
So I'll be going to the meeting. It starts at 9:00, and I know, and I want to hear more about everything that's going on. I know that Grace has taken multiple steps to deliver food to various residents, 290 some at this point, rather than had them come to Memorial Field. They have also sent folks to other communities where they can pick up, like 167, I think, where they can pick up their goods. Is this an issue that residents are concerned about? Of course. And so we need to look at it and carefully hear everything that they are concerned about. I know that our police have been out there. They've made recommendations. I believe they're being followed. I was told that last Thursday there were 95 cars, some of which are carpooling. Some people are walking. I'm told that the drop-off of food from the larger trucks has to stop by 7:30 in the morning because you don't want to interfere, of course, with children coming into Brayton School. But all of this will be more information that we can get and share, and I'm hoping it's a well-attended, lively, and respectful conversation because everybody in Summit wants to take care of our neighbors.
Yeah.
And what we also then, that means that's reciprocal. We also have to care for the neighbors who live there.
Okay. And if you can't make the meeting, I underlined.
Yep. If you can't make the meeting, please send an email to info@gracegiving.receiving.org. That's info@gracegiving.receiving.org.
Thank you,
And
Mayor.
we'll respond to those questions.
Anything else you want to add? We've hit 7:30.
Yeah, I just want to thank you both again for being here at 7 on a Tuesday. That's not a council meeting Tuesday.
No problem.
Thank you, really, and thank you everyone for watching.
And I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday season with the Passover, Easter, Ramadan, whatever you participate. And if you don't, then I hope you just had fun.
It's a beautiful spring day in Summit.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.